And Apple's highly anticipated iPad has gone on sale in the United States. Hundreds queued overnight to get their hands on one, and they weren't disappointed.
Can't wait to get home and tear these apart and start playing with them.
The Wi-Fi only iPads start at $500 US. They'll be released here next month, but there's no price tag as yet.
Welcome to Mediawatch. I'm Jonathan Holmes. In the United States, hundreds of thousands of people celebrated Easter by snapping up the new iPad tablet computer. And news organisations worldwide are desperately hoping that it can do for the news media what the iPod did for the music industry, provide a simple, convenient way for people to pay for highly packaged electronic news.
It's a game changer, perhaps. I think the readability of the iPad, the portability and the power of it is, in my opinion, unique and will spawn a whole new class of devices.
Tonight, a special programme. Once again, we're wrestling with the future viability of quality journalism, print journalism in particular. Does it lie in paywalls on the web and tablets in the hand? I've been talking to three people who hope it does. From the United States, Mark Franz, Chief Technology Officer for Digital Operations at the New York Times. And from France, media commentator Frédéric Filloux, author of the influential blog Monday Note. Both of them were in Sydney recently for a conference called Media 2010. And I've been talking to the Editor-in-Chief of The Australian, Chris Mitchell. The starting point, of course, is that traditional newspapers are in trouble, especially in the United States, where revenues have tumbled and thousands of journalists have lost their jobs. Even the mighty New York Times has shed over 100 reporters from its newsroom in the past 2 years.
I think we've seen a number of papers go out of business, a number of papers cease publication in print. Advertising and circulation declines have been double-digit for many years now, so it is a crisis. For us, it's a matter of, we have a very robust advertising business. We don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize that after a really bad 2009 is growing again, started to grow, snap back in the fourth quarter of last year and is really continuing. But it's really not enough. And I think for quality journalism to survive, you really need both a subscription revenue stream and an advertising revenue stream.
But you have something like 17 million unique visitors a month to the New York Times website.
20 million, actually.
Is it really?
Yes.
Surely that huge audience can generate enough advertising to pay even for the New York Times' journalism.
Not enough. Not enough.
The hope at the dawn of the internet age was that news websites would garner significant additional revenue through advertising. But the reality has been a bitter disappointment.
We weren't sure what the business model was for the internet. You know, we all drove our content online. It took us a long time to realise that advertising inventory online was infinite, that new competitors could bid down ad rates endlessly, and that the business model online didn't sustain the journalism.
Frédéric Filloux has done the grim arithmetic. New media, like the so-called pure player news websites with no physical newspaper, just don't generate the revenue, he says, to replace the old mainstream newsrooms.
Roughly speaking, I mean, a reader online yields 16 to 20 times less than a readers on print. So it is going to be quite challenging to actually sustain quality journalism. Just one example. If you take the revenue of the biggest pure player website in the US, like the Huffington Post or like Politico, they are making something like $8 to $10 million a year. If you take the amount of money the New York Times is spending in Afghanistan and in Iraq, they are spending something like $3 to $4 million a year. It's just give you an idea. I mean, the New York Times is spending for its foreign coverage something like $70 million per year, roughly 10 times the revenue of a single pure player website. So, I mean, this pure player website by no means will have the possibility to actually have a fully staffed bureau in Baghdad or in Kabul.
So what's the solution if we want to keep this type of journalism? Among newspaper proprietors, Rupert Murdoch has been the most forthright. The era of free news on the internet, he says, has got to end.
Well, they shouldn't have had it free all the time. I think we've been asleep. And You know, it costs us a lot of money to put together good newspapers and good content, and you know, they're very happy to pay for it when they buy a newspaper, and I think when they read it elsewhere, they're going to have to pay.
Well, News Corporation is about to make its first move in Britain. The Times Online website will disappear to be replaced by two new sites, one for the Times and one for the Sunday Times.
From June, the new sites will be available for a charge of £1 for a day's access or £2 for a week's subscription. Payment will give customers access to both sites.
It seems that the Times and the Sunday Times will leave very little of their content outside the paywall. The New York Times thinks that approach will cut newspapers off from the global conversation.